Tensions between police and the Indigenous community in the Gippsland town of Bairnsdale have reached boiling point after police ordered a blanket ban on the sale of alcohol to Aboriginal people. Police have since apologised, admitting it's illegal to refuse sale based on race. But the bungle has thrown a spotlight on violence taking place in East Bairnsdale, something authorities are struggling to deal with. This report from Anna McDonald.
I had tears run down my face and my wife goes, "Are you all right?" And I said, "No, I'm not. The intervention started in Victoria and no one's rung me to tell me about it."
Our kids get verbally abused and threatened with machetes, chased in cars every other day, and we can't get justice done for our children.
It's just pure racism from the police station. It's been happening for years.
What happened in Bairnsdale recently has evoked a fury.
We're living in the 21st century and we've still got to put up with stuff that we read about, heard about, that happened in South Africa.
Home to 12,000 people, Bairnsdale is advertised as the gateway to the tranquil lakes and wilderness of East Gippsland. But on the other side of the Mitchell River lies another world.
There's a few hundred people live in East Bairnsdale. We've got a mixture of Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. It's actually not a bad area. And intermingled amongst this area is 140 public houses.
Living in the houses are Aboriginal families. Some of them are involved in an ongoing and bitter feud that often spills onto the streets. Jeff Newby is the local superintendent and was on duty on a recent Friday night when tensions began to flare.
We got a call that there was trouble in the area, that East Bairnsdale area, and actually that was about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So we increased the patrols around then, and really it was a non-event. But later on the night, about or just before midnight, a brawl did erupt, and the police attended there and saw one person approaching the fight armed with just a standard kitchen knife.
No one was seriously injured, but with rumours the next day that alcohol was being stockpiled in the area, they feared another violent brawl. It's what police did next that sparked rage in the community.
I pulled into the bottle-o. There was a lady serving. She said that she had to go get her manager. And she went and got the manager. The manager came out and said that he couldn't serve me alcohol because I was Aboriginal. I asked him if he had heard of the referendum. He just laughed in my face, so then I drove off.
Kylie Harrison is one of a number of Aboriginal people who were refused the sale of alcohol in Bairnsdale on the Saturday after the street fight. Adele Brown is another who made a complaint to the police.
I said, I've just been refused service of alcohol. Can you tell me why? And he'd said, because of all the family violence that's going on over in East Bairnsdale. And I said, well, that's got nothing to do with me. And I'd said, who's fighting? And he named 6 families. And I said, no, I'm not any of them. And I just said, well, that's really not good enough, and I left.
It should never have happened, and I'm embarrassed that we were part of that.
It was a serious blunder for a superintendent who's fought hard to build a strong relationship with the local Indigenous community. Jeff Newby says police had initially set out to simply remind bottle shops of their responsible service of alcohol obligations.
Sadly, that's when we came unstuck, because the message from the management down to the foot soldiers, if you like, that were delivering the message got skewed, and our folk went to the liquor outlets and asked them not to serve, or directed them in fact not to serve alcohol to Aboriginals, which is wrong on every level.
Police say the ban was in place for 3 hours before they started receiving complaints. Bryce Hallett runs a local bottle shop and refused to comply with the police order.
It would have put me in a very, very bad situation, because you just can't say that to people. And it'd be illegal for a start. I just don't think you'd be able to do that. And our clientele, we've got a lot of Koori clientele here, a lot of good people.
Is there racism in this organisation or not?
No, I don't think so. Look, what happened was really ignorance, I'd have to say.
Racism is ignorance, so it's a bit of both. You've got some policemen who have been down here for many, many years who know that this place is racist, who know those things go on, and to be ignorant of it's just not on.
Jason King heads up the Aboriginal cooperative in Gippsland and has been working closely with police for a number of years. He says the alcohol ban has destroyed some of the positive work done by his organisation and police. He's now lodged a formal complaint with the Australian Human Rights Commission.
There is blatant racism within Victoria Police, and it's not just here, it's everywhere.
The controversy has exposed the prevalence of alcohol-fuelled violence in East Bairnsdale, as well as the failure by authorities to handle it. Police speak of at times being outnumbered, waiting until hours after a fight is finished before making arrests.
All the front windows had been smashed. A vehicle out the backyard. Men coming here with weapons, you know, looking to fight a single mother with 4 kids. When these things do happen, I always tell my kids, all go to the back room where we know we're going to be safe.
Kids coming under the nose.
The Pearce family is one of those caught up in the feud that takes over the streets of East Bairnsdale most weekends.
Now, numerous times, you know, the violence that happens here, I've got to come from West Bairnsdale to come and try and get my sister and her 4 children out of the house. A couple of times I've asked the police to do that, falls on deaf ears.
Our grandkids are the ones that are affected by all of this, and that flows on to, you know, when they go to school, their ability to learn things at school is affected by what's happening within the community.
The family say they've asked the Department of Human Services numerous times for Linda to be moved out of East Bairnsdale.
DHS knew exactly what was going on in terms of who the problem was with Linda, and yet they chose to house that family 150 metres up the road here on the corner.
Through the days, all right, it's just night time when you're ready to lay down, you know, like, yeah, well, my mind's ticking overboard, you know, wondering if, you know, something's going to happen. No one wants to hear, no one wants to help. Yeah, we're just left, you know, more or less in the dark.
7:30 Victoria approached 3 state ministers and the local member for Bairnsdale. Not one of them was willing to respond to the serious issues highlighted in this story. As for the claims made against DHS, a spokesperson says the department doesn't tolerate antisocial behaviour on its properties or by its tenants. But they do say Linda Pearce will be moved out of East Bairnsdale once a house becomes available.
But there's no quick fix to the continuing claims of racism.
There's things that have happened where people have gone in as a group to order coffee, and the Aboriginal person in that group has got a paper cup and not a proper china cup. Stuff like that happens all the time.
I have a lot of issues myself with the police. Even when I'm walking just down the street to go to a nightclub, they'll pull over and be like, "What are you doing?"
But Jeff Newby says there have been big improvements in the way his officers deal with the local Indigenous community. He's brought forward a round of cultural awareness training for those on the sensitive Bairnsdale beat.
We've done a power of work, not only Jason and myself, but a whole host of others, trying to break down barriers between police and Aboriginal folk, and you know, this has got the potential just to destroy it all in one foul swoop. Fortunately, I think we might have grabbed it, you know, just in the nick of time.
This isn't the Northern Territory. We haven't rung up the local member to say we need help, and Victoria Police, I think, have a case to answer.
Anna McDonald reporting there.